This program is produced by Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
First, I'm going to yawn.
No yawning.
I found the devil.
The devil?
I found him.
Really? Is this him?
No.
In this wheelchair?
No. He's over here in this bucket. I kid you not. There he is. Mr. Sin!
Oh my
Not
goodness.
bothering us anymore.
And I remember her saying, okay, you're going to play Mr. Sin today. And she hands me this purple puppet with a nasty mustache. Pop little puppet up. And literally on cue, 80 kids out there all, boo, no, God, I hate that guy. I was like, man, these guys are trained on cue. Like, I don't know if they got candy for doing that or what. But
Oh, man. They just want to come down on
deep
someone.
theological teaching. Deep theological teaching.
Well.
Hey everyone, welcome to Together We Build. My name is Chris Behnke. I'll be hosting this like normal, and I'm here with Prudence O'Hare.
Yes, that's me.
Prudence, I would like to know if in the last 6 months you've eaten Spam.
No,
No?
it's not on my
It's not on your
list to eat.
my favorites list. What is the strangest thing you've eaten in the last 6 months then?
I don't eat strange things.
You just don't eat them?
No.
What about, I mean, recently you visited Europe in the last 6
Okay,
months.
here's the strangest thing.
Yeah. What is it?
Europe. No, we didn't eat anything strange there.
Well,
that I
there's
know
some weird
of.
things in Lisbon. Little
Look,
dessert
I'll
things.
try desserts that are strange.
Okay. Strange desserts.
I ate this, it's like a Kung Pao cauliflower. It was cauliflower that was like deep fried or something
yeah.
at this,
It wasn't
I think it was
deep-fried.
like a Korean restaurant or something I went to with a friend. It was actually really good.
No,
but
it was a
I
brewery.
that was the second time. The first time was then. And I actually
both
like
had
cauliflower.
Pao. Cauliflower?
Yeah, it was
'Kay.
like a deep fried situation.
Put in the
It was really
comments
good.
right now, wherever you're watching this, is it cauliflower? Like Prudence
It's
says
cauliflower.
it. Or cauliflower. Because I don't know about cauliflower.
I can say cauliflower.
Haley, did she say
It's
it?
cauliflower, Chris.
Correct. Exactly. Cauliflower is not good, but deep fried cauliflower in Kung Pao sauce is pretty good, but that's like not cauliflower. Let's be real.
Of course it is.
It's okay. All right, let's do the trivia. Speaking of trivia, this is going to be food-based trivia. Okay? Here we go. Who is the only person allowed to eat swan in the UK?
Probably the king or queen.
Correct. Excellent.
Just once.
It says the queen, but the queen is no longer with us. So, okay. Which animal is used for transport milk and meat in the Middle East? Transport, milk, and meat.
Camel.
Camel is correct. Wow, you're batting 1,000 right now. Okay. In Spain, how many grapes must you eat on New Year's Eve for good luck? So obviously what this means is that in Spain, they believe on New Year's Eve, you're supposed to eat a certain number of grapes, and that will bring you good luck on New Year's Eve.
It's going to bring you good luck in your digestive system or what?
It doesn't specify. I think it's just all around good luck by eating this number of grapes. How many is it?
3.
3 is incorrect. It is 12. The answer is actually 12. All right.
12.
In 2013, which mislabeled meat caused a scandal in UK supermarkets?
Mislabeled meat.
Mislabeled meat that caused a massive scandal in 2013. A mislabeled meat.
Horse meat?
Nailed it again.
That
Horse
was just
meat.
a guess.
So what I don't know, because I don't know what happened in the scandal, is was it horse meat that was mislabeled as beef, or was it like, I don't know.
Probably.
But is that a thing that's common in UK? Do you know? Horse meat?
I think it's fairly common,
It's common
for
in a lot
other
of places.
places
It's common in
to
a lot of
eat.
places. How do you feel about eating horse meat?
I don't love
You're
it.
not a fan of it?
Not really.
What if it was really tasty, like the best horse burger in the world?
I don't know. Maybe.
You'd go for it.
I just.
I'm surprised we don't eat more horse in this
Let's go
country.
on to the next question.
All right, in Arkansas, or Arkansas, if you say it a certain way.
Arkansas.
What are buffalo ribs? In Arkansas,
Buffalo ribs.
Arkansas. Arkansas buffalo ribs. What are they? What are they made out of? You know this. Prudence, you know this.
I do?
Yeah, you used to live in Oklahoma, remember?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think they're chicken ribs.
Chicken ribs?
Yeah.
No. Buffalo ribs in Arkansas is fried fish.
That sounds ridiculous.
I'm not sure if they were
don't
just
remember this.
confused or what. Okay, one or two more at the most. Which part of a shark is used in the popular Chinese soup? Which part of a shark?
It's got to be like shark fins or something, I think.
Nailed it again.
There is.
Shark.
Wait,
fin-
one
no,
time
no,
on
no.
that.
No.
One time. Uno.
I am the cheer.
Not
master.
dos, not tres. Uno.
Okay. Last one. What is the main ingredient in most wasabi products? Jason's getting loud back there. I can hear him
Jason,
barking the answers out.
you're too loud.
But you didn't hear him. Did you? What's the main ingredient in most wasabi?
Why don't you ask
products?
Jason?
No.
He probably knows.
He does know because I heard him say the answer. But what is the answer, Prudence? You know
Mustard?
This. You know. No, horseradish. By the way, is
Man.
horseradish, is that a certain kind of radish that's actually called a horse?
No, it's a
radish?
plant. Some sort of herb, I believe. That I said once.
Excellent job.
His husband is not very
blown
obedient.
away by your food trivia.
Not obedient.
brilliance.
You're not
Brilliance.
obedient. It's probably a scripture verse or something.
There
so
is
go
a
with
scripture
that.
verse. There is a scripture verse on
Button
it.
pushing.
There's definitely a scripture verse about button pushing. I don't know if they were referring to this particular Cheers button, but there is one. So, Prudence, what are we talking about today? What are we getting into? We're getting into a multi-part series about something that is just incredible. What is it?
Well, let me look at my notes.
Look at your notes. Yes.
The lid of identity and the NEXUS Profile,
The lid of identity.
which
and
Jason
the
so
Nexus
lovingly said
profile.
the human next to us rather than the human nexus.
That is really good. When did he say that?
While you were gone.
I love that. The Nexus profile or the human next to us profile.
This is really bothering me right here. I feel like it's going to slop onto your keyboard. And
I'm just
going
going
to
to hold it like this. I'm going to hold it like this for the whole show.
Then if it slops on your keyboard, we're definitely keeping that in the show.
I'll put it up here. Does that make it feel a little bit better? Like that?
Okay, so what is the NEXUS Profile?
Yeah, let's get into this a little bit. So, Yeah, so we're going to do a multi-part series, and we're going to dig into this, and we're going to talk about the NEXUS Profile. We're going to talk about God designed, the platform, and these different things. But let's start off with the lid of identity and NEXUS Profile. So you want to know what is the NEXUS Profile?
Well, yeah, I mean, because anybody
Okay,
that's
we'll just do
watching
that
this probably wants to know.
super high flyover of that, because I think in the next episode we'll dig into it a little bit more, maybe at the end of this. But the NEXUS Profile is an assessment, a human assessment. So it is used, it's not a personality assessment, but a lot of people might think that it is. They might, kind of expect it to be if they took it. But it's really a temperament assessment that is quantifying the unchanging motivational drivers, the unchanging part of who you are at your deepest level.
So
That's
this
what the
is
NEXUS
like
Profile
the this is like the model that you were born with.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, it's the NEXUS Profile is simply an assessment that has been
so
created
if
to quantify
if
the
this
unchanging
is
part
like
of who
the
you are.
model of like, say we use a car as a word picture, then a personality would be like the paint job or something, right? That
Yeah,
that you can
that's
kind of change. That changes.
such a good analogy. Yes, you can put a wrap on it and take it from a black car to a purple car.
So a lot of assessments and things in the similar nature are measuring
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah,
on
so if you
people.
didn't really know a lot about this and didn't watch this amazing Together We Build episode, and you took the NEXUS Profile, you might say, this is kind of like DISC or Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder or Colby, or there's literally hundreds of different assessments. There's What Disney Princess Are You assessments out there
I
as
haven't
well.
taken that one, but
Yeah,
I probably would be more like Belle.
By the
if
way,
I did.
total side note, all of those that you see on Facebook that are like, what Disney princess are you? Or what super mansion is best for you, Prudence? Just so you know,
Super.
all of those are 100% designed to scrape personal information about you. Don't do
So
them.
they can sell you
It's a
products.
100% sidebar that we're not talking about this episode.
Yeah, but you know what? I would really like products tailored to me. It really saves me some
Then
time.
you should take the What Disney Princess Are You assessment. No, so the NEXUS Profile is similar in that it is quantifying the temperaments that are designed and built in from birth by God, and it's all built on top of a biblical foundation. But if you didn't know that, you would just say, "Oh, it's another personality assessment." But it's really not. It's really quantifying the motivational drivers that make up who you are at its highest level.
That drive the personality.
That derive the personality. So you say motivational drivers. Sometimes people are like, "Well, what do you mean?" Well, it's the thing that drives you to do, that motivates you to do the action. So, for example, Prudence, you're a stabilizer in this assessment, which we'll get into this in future episodes, and I'm a driver. So we both might have a task. We both might do the task. We might even do the task the same way, but the reason you do it and the reason I do it will likely be different.
Mm-hmm. Very different.
That's the motivational driver. So why? The why behind. It's kind of like the gas you put in the car.
Okay.
That's an NEXUS Profile.
That's it. That's all we need to know.
Well, there's more to talk about, but we got to get into the lid of identity, right? That's what this episode's really about.
Okay, so you've got this nice NEXUS Profile situation, and why should somebody bother with it?
Yeah, so
What's the point of it?
yes. And I think that's a perfect tie-in to the lid of identity. And taking a sip of this wonderful Keurig coffee.
Oh, that's so irritating.
So let's
like
get into
listening
this.
to that.
So I'll just kind of set the stage a little bit, and then we can, talk about this and kind of dig in. So we know what your Bible says is that Jesus came with an assignment, and he's the only one. Jesus came and he got the Jesus assignment. He got the Son of God assignment. So he did his thing, and we're not going to get into all of that, but basically at the highest level, he came to reconcile the problems that started in the garden with sin. And he came and did that, and he came and died for all humanity. And he gave us a different assignment. So his assignment wasn't the same as ours. So this is another different episode someday in the future. But the what would Jesus do, it actually should be what would Jesus have you do, not what would Jesus do. Because he actually had a different assignment than us. A lot of times it's the same thing, but it's not always the same thing. So he gave us assignment, and that assignment was, ding, 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 the Great Commission, which essentially, that's the little term that people call it, essentially is go out into all the world and make disciples of nations.
And
What do you think about that?
he's not saying make bench warmers.
Yes. Unfortunately, there's always some bench warmers around, but ultimately we're trying to make disciples, not bench warmers.
And behind the door of disciple is a lot of things.
Yes, for sure. So if you think about that, so a nation's a nation, right? So what's your favorite nation? There's only one right answer.
Oh, obviously the U.S.
Yes, the U.S. That's my favorite too. Not that we're biased or anything, but so if we're supposed to make a disciple out of a whole nation, that's a big job.
Yeah, that's a very big job.
Do you think you can get that done for us, Prudence?
Oh, yes, lickety split.
Lickety split. By the way, total sidebar again. How fast is lickety split? Just like that is disgusting.
So it's not as fast as some.
It's not as fast as some, but lickety split. I'm never going to ask you about lickety split again. That was disgusting. So this is a big job. We're going to make a disciple out of an entire nation. And the Great Commission was make disciples out of nations. So it's like go into all the earth and basically turn the whole earth into kingdom-minded, God-fearing, God-seeking kingdom way. Bring heaven to earth. That's really what this means. So that's a big job.
Yes,
That's a job that I might think would take more than one person. Would you agree?
Unfortunately, yes.
So, big
And-
job, more than one person.
And here's the other problem, is that we're all insanely unique and different.
Yes.
Not one of us is just alike,
Right.
which makes it,
Fun.
well, or excruciatingly painful.
No, fun.
I
Not painful, fun. Not painful, fun. So he gives us this assignment, and when I say us, I mean the church. So big C, the church as in Christianity, kingdom-minded believers that are Christ followers. That's who he's given this assignment to. So really that assignment is go to the whole world and convert everybody to Christ's mindset, to Jesus, to help facilitate bringing heaven to earth, making disciples of nations, where an entire nation is itself a disciple. So this takes many people. In fact, I believe that the design of God, his intention and his ultimate desire is that every person he ever creates, actually he created to play a part in that. Now, many don't choose to do that. We get to decide. That's the free will part. But he actually designed it in a way where we're all supposed to play a part. I look at it like a giant, there's roughly 8 billion people alive today, a giant 8 billion puzzle piece puzzle. That's a big one, right? Giant.
Yeah.
You like puzzles.
Well,
How about
yes,
an 8
but
billion
when all
puzzle
of
piece
the
puzzle?
pieces are like the same color, that's pretty tough.
Yes.
I don't really love that part.
Those are the really challenging ones. But anyways, an 8 billion puzzle piece puzzle, that's the picture of how we all fit together in this story that's unfolding, in this assignment he's given us. He's given us assignment, go make disciples of nations. We all play a part. Now, Prudence, you do like puzzles. I don't really like them. But in either case, how does it feel to complete an entire puzzle only to discover at the end there's 1 or 2 or 3 pieces missing? You like
It's
that?
a bit deflating.
It is massively frustrating. I hate it. Haley, how about you? No, she doesn't like it either. No one likes that because we're designed for order. We're designed by God for things to be complete. And when there's a plan, even people that seem like they don't care about the plan, they still care about the plan. Everybody wants to see all the pieces in the puzzle. So if we believe that our job is the Great Commission and we're all supposed to play a part, then we can say to ourselves, hey, every single person before the foundation of the earth was made for a purpose, on purpose. And the purpose is to fit into this plan that God has set forth. The assignment is, if you will, that's how I look at it, is an assignment, and each individual assignment to play a part in that big story.
So it's super easy to figure out our parts, isn't it?
Yes, it's very easy. Basically, what you do is you get your email client out and you email Jesus@God.us or Jesus@God.heaven, and you just say, "Can you please report back my assignment?" And then boom, lickety split.
Wouldn't it be funny
God
if we had
emails
like
you.
little like those player pianos, little scrolls that they read?
Scroll with the holes in them.
Yeah. So what if we all came with like one of those on the back of our necks, and you could just like, here's your assignment. Who's you're supposed to be?
And then you turn a crank on the side of your head.
No. It's always there. It's just like, I don't know.
That's how those player
Maybe it's not
pianos
on the
work.
back of our neck. Maybe it's like on our arms or something. So
Well, we do
can
have
read
scrolls. We do
Just
got these scrolls.
Yes, I know, but something more tangible.
So you're saying you want to pull out your instruction set
yeah,
for the day?
exactly.
The things you come up with are super
Weird.
weird.
Yes.
It would be very convenient, by the way. I do agree. It would be very convenient.
I think the Lord wanted us to have more of a challenge.
Yes, he did. He wanted. I think you're actually right about that. I think he did create this scenario for us that is a challenge on purpose. I actually think you're hitting on something powerful there. He did that on purpose because it's in the journey of seeking out this forever throughout our whole lives that we actually develop the relationship with the Lord. Mm-hmm. If he did give us the little, like, that's not the same relationship. Like, that's not the same. It's kind of like if there's this incredible vista with the most beautiful view ever across a valley. If you have to...
Is there a bug on me?
Yeah, it flew by. If you can drive to it, it's beautiful. But if you have to hike 10 miles to get to it, it's more beautiful. Now, it's really not more beautiful, right? But you appreciate the beauty more if the only way to get to it is from a very hard journey rather than just driving up to a parking lot. It's the same beauty, but you appreciate the beauty a lot more when you have to work to get it. And the relationship matters more. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I like to talk about Jeremiah. So Jeremiah 1:4-8 is this. Now the word of the Lord came to me saying, now this is Jeremiah documenting what happened to him.
Do you think that they called him Jeremy for short?
I think they called him Jerms. Hey, Jerms, like that.
I think Jeremy, that's where it got its start.
It got its start back from Jeremiah.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Keep going.
I think that is.
was false and fake and never happened.
Well, I don't know. We don't know that.
So whether it was Jerms, Jeremy, or Jeremiah.
Somewhere in a cave.
I think it was
Jeremy
Maya.
is written.
I think it was Maya. This is massively off topic. Okay. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. I have appointed you a prophet to the nations. So that's a really big call. And what's important to understand here is God's telling him this, and that he knew this about him, and that he designed Jeremiah for this purpose before he formed him in the womb. So this is before he was even existed as a single cell. He already had pre-decided the assignment that he had, which was to be a prophet to the nations, which was a big call. And Jeremiah says, alas, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak because I am a youth. So he immediately kind of rejected the purpose God made him for and gave an excuse. I'm just a kid. I don't know what I'm doing.
I wonder how old he was.
He was a youth.
Yeah, but what did that mean back then? 5?
He was
6?
He was 5. I don't know. I am imagining he was somewhere between the ages of 13 and 18. Because in order to kind of be doing things of this nature, he would have had to have been of age, which is 13.
So that's man status?
That's
is
man
13?
status. That's when you get the stamp. Man, you're a man.
Man, we are so behind.
Yeah, we're behind. So now, like 37-year-olds are like, I'm just still a kid. Anyways, again, we're off topic. So the Lord said to Jeremiah, do not say I'm a youth, because everywhere I send you, you shall go. All that I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. So God was saying, don't say I'm a youth. Now, he was a youth. So God's not saying, hey, pretend you're not a youth. He was saying, don't use that as an excuse. Or, youth is not your identity. Prophet to the nations is your identity. So the enemy likes to come in and use parts about us that are true as an excuse. So he didn't say, I'm an old man, I can't do this, when he was 14. The enemy came in and whispered, you're just a youth, you can't handle it. So the enemy uses truth to corrupt our identity, because God said, no, your identity is not youth or old or anything, has nothing to do with it. Your identity is prophet to the nations. And he's like, oh, I'm a youth. Don't say that. So God wasn't saying, you're not a youth. He was saying, don't use youth as an excuse. I made you to be a prophet. What do you think about that?
It's good.
Do we do that? Do we do that with what God tells us?
Of course we do.
Yes.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
We keep those little Rolodexes full of excuses.
Wait, well,
Let me see.
So for the younger audience that doesn't even know what a Rolodex is, it was like a card
It's a
holder,
box.
A box.
It's a little miniature file.
Yes, but the Rolodex kind actually turned, and it would, and you'd
Flip.
like turn
And so it was alphabetical order.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm going to excuses filed under L, to L, and then excuse,
leprosy today.
proceed. I was wondering where you're going to go with the letter L, and you went to leprosy. That is not good. Leprosy.
Well, I'm saying that
Yes.
could be a real good excuse.
Or you flip it to Y. Youth. I'm just a youth. Or what did Moses do? Orator. I'm not an orator. I don't know if Moses used the word orator, but there's these excuses that we use that God says, no, I made you a certain way. On purpose, before the foundations of the earth, I designed you to fit this puzzle piece, this incredible puzzle piece. This incredible puzzle, you're playing a piece. The story that I've made, you've got a role.
So don't blow it by not doing your puzzle piece, right?
Don't blow it.
Don't blow it.
Take the Rolodex, throw it in the trash. Get rid of the excuses. Yeah. So, what do you think about that?
Well, let's move on.
All right, let's move on.
What's your, okay, how does, I have some questions.
Let's move
How
on.
does
Let's.
communism
Yeah.
play into what we're talking about today?
Yeah. So, I'm trying to look for something real quick. Oh my goodness, where is...
He has lost his place in his computer Rolodex.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so communism, that does seem like a weird divergent away from what we're talking about, right? So 175 years ago or so, in 1848, Karl Marx published the Communist Manifesto. And a lot of times when I talk about identity, I start talking about a couple of things that seem like they don't fit. And the first one is communism. And the reason that I bring that up is because what most people think of and what we have been taught in modern Western culture and in our school systems today is that communism and capitalism are two things that are opposed to each other, that are political governmental structures for the way we handle money, goods, services, occupation, and control. And that's actually not an accurate picture of what really communism is. People's like, wait a minute, I know what it is. And older people say, I know what it is. I grew up in the Cold War era or something like this. I know what communism is. The thing is, you got to actually go back and look at the roots of it and what did Karl Marx write about? What was the purpose of it? And if you want to dig into this more, which I highly recommend that you do, I absolutely think that you should. A good place to start is a book called The Naked Communist. And that book was written, I think, in the 50s to help people understand what the root of communism was. So the root of communism is designed by its nature to remove God out of society. So Marx and the other original founders of communism didn't believe in God, but they saw God as an ideal that was pervasive in society. So the concept behind communism is really to remove God by creating a structure where everyone is sufficient all on their own as a group together. And they used common enemy, the Bolsheviks. There's just all the stuff you can read about it. We're not going to go into it today. But the point of all of that was specifically designed to remove God out. Now, capitalism isn't designed to put God in, and communism and capitalism aren't actually opposites of each other. They kind of play out that way because what happened is the concept behind communism was if we remove the concept of God, we remove the concept of identity, and this is why we bring it up, and understand that everyone, there's no truth, there's no false, there's just all this kind of like singular existence where we happen to be living at the same time as each other. If we all just understand that the good of the many outweighs the good of the individual and kind of allow it to carry out, people will naturally just do their part and all problems will be solved. We don't need government. We don't need police. We don't need military. We don't need money. Just everyone contributes together. But the reality is, the truth is that didn't work. And so the belief back then was, well, it doesn't work because the idea of a God that doesn't really exist is still pervasive out there. And so with that out there, people will not fully adapt and adopt the understanding of this kind of utopian mindset. So more and more government control was in place with the idea that eventually, once we squash out capitalism, God, the individual mindset, the individualism itself as a way of thinking, once we squash that off the face of the earth, then we'll relinquish all of the control and everyone will just work together and get along and it'll just be fine. The reality is that if you remove identity, it always will backfire. And this is why communism collapsed, because A, God is real and he did create people for a purpose. And so when you try to create a scenario where you remove identity, you actually can't. People deep inside, this like kind of cliche saying, there's a God-shaped hole that everybody's trying to figure out how to fill in their life. That is true from the sense of innate, inborn, designed by God to have a purpose and to serve and worship a creator and to seek after the supernatural. Those are built into our DNA by the creator. So when you say communism removes God and removes the individual identity, people will never submit to that for anything longer than a short period of time because God wired it into their DNA. But make no mistake, the concept of communism is one specifically designed by its design to remove God from the face of the earth. And that's why we talk about it, because it attacks literally a person's individual identity. And if God designed each of us on purpose, like Jeremiah before the foundations of the earth, this is a direct attack on the identity and individual uniqueness of a person. So that's the side divergent,
So
tie-in
in a
with
nutshell, communism really wants to remove the uniqueness of people, excuse me, as individuals.
Exactly.
And everybody is the same, and everybody gets the same treatment, and
No one's more valuable
no one
than
is
another.
more valuable, and we're just all a bunch of drones.
Yeah, no one. So they like to take things like that seem nice, like no one's more important, which I believe
A classless system. It's advocating for a classless system.
Which there's a lot of damage that have happened from class-based systems and caste-based systems. So, like, the idea behind some of this, the implementation. Okay, so the idea is we got to remove God, and we're going to do it by removing the individual identities of people. Here's how we're going to do it. And there's all these different things. Some of those different things, they're perfectly fine, right? That's the devil's trick. He uses a lot of things that are good for nefarious purposes. So there's a lot of damage that was happening, especially 175 years ago, by people asserting control. There's not at all following kingdom godly principles. They were torturing people. They were making them slaves. And so Satan's master plan is always, he takes that, which wasn't good, and applied it to the concept of God doesn't exist and individuality doesn't exist, and used the real truth about people, kind of managing countries and groups of people poorly and torturing them. And he used that to push the agenda of removing the individual's identity.
Okay. So it's a lot to cover and think about. But anyways, the book that you're recommending is The Naked Communist.
The Naked Communist.
To understand a little bit more about that as a whole and how pervasive and how much it's been very much like a cancer in our society, and how it's been affecting us as a people group. So, next question, how does evolution come after identity?
Yeah, so this is kind of the other kind of surprising sideways in thing that really ties in a lot more than people think. So the thing with communism is it's a disguise, and what we're taught is it's like a way of handling money against capitalism. Truth is actually an attack on identity. The same is true with evolution. So November 24th, 1859, Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species.
Okay, so Karl Marx did the Communist Manifesto in 1848, and Charles Darwin was The Origin of Species in 1859.
Correct.
So were these guys buddies at all?
I doubt it. I have no idea. I didn't do that research.
Well, anyway.
But you can see a strategic move by the enemy to remove identity. So with evolution, people are kind of like, what's the big deal? Science has shown us that, creation couldn't have happened in 7 days, and there's the Big Bang, and there's all this stuff, and there's Christians that will be swayed easily to say, well, God must have used evolution. I believe God used evolution. There's all of these kind of tweaks. Now, there's a couple things I would say. First of all, if you're saying that, it's because you have not taken the time to actually educate yourself on science and the Bible, because they actually don't conflict. And what's crazy, especially as we're leapfrogging into things like quantum physics, quantum realm, quantum entanglement, this kind of quantum area, this radically new, barely understood part of science, it's literally continuing to prove all of these things that the Bible's been talking about for 6,000 years in some cases. So the people that sway easily under, well, what about carbon dating? They just have not done research. So go do research. Like, let's be equipped and actually understand the truth about science and the Bible, because they actually don't conflict. That's my little sidebar. So you talk about evolution, go, oh, how does how does that fit in? So God tells us in Scripture, what your Bible says is that God's a God of order and design, and everything has a purpose. He's very orderly and very designed and purposeful. That's the whole, I created you for a purpose, on purpose, before the foundations of the earth. That's purpose. I have a design that started with creation and this kind of 6 days of how I did that, all the way to, you go read in the Old Testament exactly how he wanted the tabernacle set up, and this many feet, and this kind of rope, and this kind of cloth, and this basin filled with this, and this priest had to do that. Like, he's a God of order. So if I want to attack the God of order, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the opposite card and say everything actually came from disorder. So evolution is also a direct attack on identity and God by saying everything is just accident. Well, how could you just accidentally have people and animals and trees and plants and the earth? Well, give it enough time, it'll just kind of accidentally all happen. So a lot of people say, well, what's the big deal? Like, couldn't God have like kind of shaped evolution, and used it? Well, no, because really what you're doing is you're going back and saying it's all by accident. Things by accident don't have a purpose.
So why would we humans love this idea of evolution?
So there's a couple reasons. One is, if you're created on purpose for a purpose before the foundations of the earth. Let's look at Jeremiah. What did he say? Jeremiah, I've called you to be a prophet to the nations. So I have a purpose for you. What did Jeremiah do? He was like, bro, I don't know if he said bro, but that's scary. Prophet to the nations? Like, if I get this wrong, they cut my head off. I'd rather not do that. So an excuse comes out. Oh, I'm just a kid. Okay? So if it's true that we're all called for a purpose, every person with a heart beating, if you're listening to this, that's you. Okay? Every single person was created for a purpose. Then we're really called to do something.
So you're saying that believing in evolution is an easy way out?
It's an easy way out, because if you're created for a purpose, you're supposed to be doing something.
To be able to just do whatever you want.
If you don't want to do something, if you don't want to do that, or if you're afraid to do that, because I think a lot of people, it's not really don't want to do it. It's more like, oh, I'm just kind of afraid of that. The master stroke on getting out of it, the super excuse above all excuses, is that we're all just here by accident anyway. So obviously I don't really have a purpose. Like, it's all just an accident through evolution over millions of years. What purpose is there in that? It is a subconscious, wild card in the game of Uno that gets you out of all responsibility. And the side effect of getting out of all responsibility is we don't have an identity. There's no difference between the Queen of England, who recently passed away, and some random person in a tribe somewhere that's untouched by modern technology and doesn't have a writing language. No difference in those people in their call, because it's all accident anyway. No difference in the pine tree or the bug, beetle, and you.
Yeah.
It's all just accidentally
say
here.
that there is a huge propensity in humans to not really want to be told what to do by anyone, let alone some being that, we have to work, a lot of us have to work to develop that relationship with. So there's some hurdles there, but I mean, evolution definitely offers a whole life package where you are your own God and your own boss and everything else.
And the thing about it is, like, It's kind of like you can make it feel real nice, like, well, believing in that, if we accept that as a truth, it kind of removes all other truths. So it just allows you to be you. So if you want to go and, Prudence, write books and play music and create things and beautiful pieces of art, then do it. It doesn't bother me. Go ahead. So it kind of has this, like, by removing truth, it kind of has this thing that has the tricky illusion. It's fake, by the way, that this gives you the freedom actually to serve God even better. I've even heard Christians talk about that. The truth is, though, that underneath that, the cold reality, if evolution was real, which it's not, but if it was, is that it doesn't matter because it's all accident. So yeah, you might like it, that's cool, but actually it doesn't matter. If everything is just by chance, accident, and happened over millions of years just because it accidentally did, it doesn't matter. So you literally remove the purpose out of every single thing that has ever happened. Martin Luther King, civil rights movement, no consequence, who cares? Doesn't matter. People being tortured, raped, murdered, doesn't matter. None of that matters if everything was accidental.
That's true. Because where do you develop the moral standard for to base anything on?
Right.
If there is absolutely no purpose.
Yep, it's gone. It's absolutely gone. So this is this kind of, wow, I didn't really see that, but this is the direct attack on identity. So whether you're talking about communism, which like, no, that's just like, the way governments handle money. No, it's a direct attack on your identity, saying for communism to be successful, you literally have to make everyone not have an identity. For evolution to be true, no one has an identity. So identity is the core in which God relates to us. So he tells us in his scripture that he made each one of us unique on purpose. He thought about it in advance. He didn't accidentally have a few, beautiful hairs left over and make Prudence. Like, he designed her that way on purpose. Yes, sometimes it's hard to understand why God does things, but it doesn't change the reality that he did it on purpose. But if you take that stuff away, suddenly nothing matters. And you can kind of like certain stuff and, well, I really like, caramel ice cream. That's great, but it doesn't actually have a consequence on the earth. What do you think about all that, Prudence?
Oh, yeah. These guys, this was a theory too, right?
You mean evolution?
Yeah, he actually wrote this as a theory, and theories, they're just really ideas that aren't proved.
Yes.
So how crazy is it that people took that and ran with it at such a high speed?
Yes. Now
they're like, finally, and a reason to.
So historians can debate this. I don't know, but I believe Karl Marx's goal was purposely to remove God and identity. I don't know that Charles Darwin's goal was to do that. He published a theory to answer the question of how did we all get here? But Satan immediately leveraged that and used it to go after identity. So because a lot of people are like, well, that wasn't Darwin's intent. It doesn't really matter. Like, we often do, like, maybe it was. I have no idea. Historians kind of argue about it. But whether it was or it wasn't, the enemy used it very well and orchestrated it very well to remove at the deepest level identity. So you have people now, young people are like, your truth is your truth. My truth is my truth. You want to say that you're a Volkswagen. Who am I to say that that's not true? It's true for you, even though everyone knows that Prudence is not a Volkswagen.
I just don't, it breaks my mind to try to understand the logic behind the whole your truth is your truth business, because it doesn't make sense at all.
Well, a lot of people are like, oh, they don't really think that. No, they do. They've forced themselves to adopt the idea that if Prudence says she is a Volkswagen, which she wouldn't ever choose a Volkswagen, she'd be like, what were you saying? Ford truck?
Oh, no.
If you chose...
that was completely different.
What car would you be?
Um, I don't know. I have to think about this.
A Mercedes. Haley says a Mercedes. Elegant, powerful,
Reliable.
reliable,
Hopefully it's reliable.
expensive.
It is a reliable car,
expensive
isn't it?
maintenance
It's supposed
fees.
to be. Oh, expensive maintenance fees.
Yes, that is for sure. So, yeah, so I guess as we look at this and we talk about identity, we talk about the lid of identity, it's kind of like one of these things that the enemy likes to come in and just covertly whisper in our ear and tell us, hey, you're not who you say you are. You're not who God says you are. Why don't you just not worry about that? It's better to just play Call of Duty every day, or watch binge Friends episodes on Netflix than to actually take the swallow, be brave, and take a step forward into what God called you to be. Because if you don't do that and everything is just an accident and we just ended up in here, then we don't have to be accountable if we aren't able to accomplish the assignment we've been given.
Oh yeah, so many reasons and layers, and I think it's definitely more complicated depending on the person and their experience in life. But I think overall, we don't want to be told what to do. We want to do what we want to do, and we're definitely don't want to work hard. Especially on our emotions side of things. I think that's the hardest part for us humans to deal with is our emotional and spiritual selves. Those pieces are much harder than going to a 9-to-5 job every day.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the piece that matters the most out of all of who we are is the spiritual pieces of us.
Right.
And we have the most battle there.
Right.
Because it's the most important.
So I guess, as we're going to wrap this up, we're going to do a multi-part series where we're really talking about identity. We're going to dig into the NEXUS profile, why it's important, and talk about all that stuff. But, I guess ultimately, if it's true that God's kind of created a purpose for his church, which is really for all mankind, and we're all supposed to play a part, what more effective way than just getting as many people as possible to not play their part?
Exactly.
Right?
Sounds like a good plan to me if I was,
If you were the devil?
Yes.
If you were the devil?
Absolutely.
So, as we're wrapping this up, definitely watch the next series as they come out. But Prudence, what would you say to someone who is just kind of like floating along? I call them drifters, drifting along through life. And now they're hearing this and they're like, oh, you mean God made me for something? What would you say to them? Like, what should they do?
Well, I would say that it's probably several somethings. It's not, most of us have several different things happening and things that we signed up to do and have been designed to do. So I think that kind of alleviates some concern when we're thinking, oh, there's just one thing.
Right,
But I think that there's
That's so good. That's so
many
true.
things that we're all supposed to be doing. But I think I would probably ask myself, and there's this phrase in the movie. I think it's called As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson or something in it. But that's the title of the movie. But within the movie, he actually poses the question, sometimes I wonder, is this as good as it gets? And I think that is a huge question that many of us human beings actually ask all the time. Mm-hmm. And the answer is no. It's not as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So how do you
that's so good.
how do you move past that?
Yeah. That's so good because man, I really like that, because if we're called to bring heaven to earth, then there is never a time where it's as good as it gets.
No, it's not. It's always going to be getting better.
Now, what you can't do, and what you're not saying is always be unsatisfied and frustrated with your life.
Right.
So there's this fine line. We have to be careful and not swing the pendulum too far, right? Like that's always the case.
Yeah, I'm not talking about contentment necessarily, or having a joyful attitude or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that when we hit the mediocre points of our life, and we're actually, I think, psychologically needing to grow and needing to stretch. That's what we're designed to do. Mm-hmm. But we have this conflict happening that we don't want to do it because could be laziness that's happening, fear, a combination of past trauma or whatever the case is. But we literally are in this space where we're asking this question, maybe even subconsciously. And it's kind of one of the life's questions. Yeah. I don't know, like, should I be satisfied in this space, or right. should I reach for more?
Right.
And always go for more. Yeah. Always reach for more and believe that there is more for you to grow in and to expect, and to believe that the goodness of God is much, much more than we know in that moment.
Yeah. Man, that is so powerful. I love the way that you stated that. I'm excited about digging into this. And we're out of time for today, but we're going to be digging into this over the next several episodes. This call to understand our identity. It is critically important, as we've really talked about. We're going to talk about the NEXUS Profile, and we're going to dig into all that. So don't miss a single episode that's coming up. I want to tell you about a couple of things super quick. Would love it if you'd like and subscribe. Let us know what you thought about this episode or other Together We Build episodes. This show, Together We Build with Chris and Prudence, is produced by and managed by Eagle Mountain TV. You can find more about that ministry, and you can support it. We would love it if you would support it, wouldn't we?
We would.
In fact, you should support it. So you can go over to eaglemountain.global, click on the give button, and you can support this ministry. You can also click on the TV button, find other amazing programs. There's really awesome programs there from all kinds of amazing people that really dig into super important, relevant stuff. So go over there to eaglemountain.global, click the TV button, and then you can find these other programs as well as all of the episodes for Together We Build. You can also find out more about our particular ministry at chrisandprudence.com. You go check that out. We've got all links to Prudence's website, my website, all the different things that we're part of. There's a lot of powerful, useful, and a lot of free resources available as well. So check that stuff out. Love to see you guys on the next one. And we're going to go out with five cheers. Five cheers.
No.
And that was
that
was the fifth. All right, we'll see you guys later. And that was the sixth.